Wow, they are finally back. Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and their two children, Archie and Lilibet, have now returned to Britain. After 6 years of living in the United States, the Sussex family has landed back on British soil, and their return is already creating a storm of reactions. But there is one question dominating the conversation. Did Harry really expect to come back without apologizing? Because while some people see this as a beautiful opportunity for family reconciliation, others are asking whether Harry can simply return to Britain and act as if nothing had happened. So now that Harry, Meghan, and their children are actually back, what next? Welcome back to the Royal Celebrity. If you have not subscribed, kindly go ahead and subscribe because this is just a story developing and I'm very sure you don't want to miss what's coming next. Now, report says the family has arrived from California today and are planning for an extended stay in Britain. Their children are also expected to start schooling in Britain starting September. But there is an important detail. They are not coming back as working royals. Harry and Meghan remain outside the official working royal family, and they are expected to live in a private home rather than the royal residence. So this is not Harry returning to his royal role, it is something very different. He's coming home as a son, a father and a member of the royal family, but not as a working royal. That distinction is of course very important. Now have a look at this post. This is a brutal question because Harry's relationship with the royal family has been damaged for years of public disagreements. There were interviews, there were Netflix documentaries, there were Harry's memo, and there were deeply personal claims about the life inside the royal family. All of this created enormous tension. So now that Harry is physically back in Britain, some critics are asking, has anything really changed? Is coming home enough? Or should there first be some kind of apology? Now let's talk about William. And this is where things get even more complicated. Harry is now back in the same country as his brother Prince William. And according to the recent reporting, their relationship remains strained even as Harry's relationship with his father appears to improve. Now, very many people are asking the same question. Now that Harry is back in Britain after living thousands of miles away, will this bring the two brothers closer? Or will being physically closer actually make the unsolved problems more obvious? That may be one of the biggest royal stories to watch in the months ahead. For King Charles, however, Harry's return could present something much more hopeful. The king has already had contacts with Harry, and the recent reporting suggests their relationship has shown some kind of improvement. Now that Harry, Meghan, and the children are back in Britain for a longer period, this means Charles could potentially see his grandchildren more regularly. And for a loving grandfather, that could mean everything. There have even been reports that Charles hopes that Harry's return could help create an opportunity for a greater family healing. But there is a major difference between being back in Britain and being back in the royal family. Harry and Meghan are not resuming their official royal duties. This is not a royal comeback, this is a family comeback, and perhaps that is the most important distinction of all. But what about Meghan? Meghan's return will also attract enormous attention. She left Britain in 2020 after a difficult period as a working royal. Now that she is returning under completely different circumstances, she has her own businesses, she has her own public profile, and also this time she's returning with her husband and children. The family will reportedly maintain their American home as well, meaning their lives could become divided between Britain and the United States. That's create an entirely new chapter. But it also means Meghan will once again be under intense British media scrutiny. Every appearance will be analyzed, every interaction will be photographed, and every royal meeting could become a headline. And if Harry and Meghan really want a quieter life, that could be very difficult. And then there is the biggest question. Can this family actually reconcile? Because Harry's return gives them something they haven't had for years: proximity. Harry doesn't have to fly thousands of miles to see his father. His children don't have to grow up knowing their grandfather mainly through photographs and occasional visits. And William and Harry are now living in the same country again. That creates opportunities, but it also creates pressure. Because when people are far apart, it's easy to avoid difficult conversation. When they are close, those conversations become harder to avoid. Perhaps the biggest lesson from this story is that an apology by itself won't fix everything. Even if Harry apologizes tomorrow, rebuilding trust will take time. Of course, trust doesn't return because someone have just apologized. It returns through action, through consistency, and through privacy, through showing that the same problems won't happen again. And that is why Harry's return could be far more important than any single apology. Because for the first time in years, the Sussex family is actually back in Britain and have the opportunity to prove what they really want. And finally, now that the Sussex family is back in Britain, what happens next? Will Harry finally rebuild his relationship with his father? Will William open the door for reconciliation? Will Meghan find life in Britain easier this time? And perhaps most significantly, will Harry address the wounds of the past or simply move forward without any apology? Because coming home is one thing, rebuilding trust is another. Now, what do you think? Now that Harry, Meghan, and the children are actually back in Britain, do you think this could finally lead to a reconciliation with the royal family? Or do you think the old tensions are simply going to follow them home? Let me know what you think in the comment section. And if you want more royal news, analysis, and the latest developments, subscribe to the Royal Celebrity. Sure enough, you don't want to miss what's coming next.